What's up, y'all? So the Passport Brothers have been all over the place, like literally and figuratively. They and others are wondering why so many people are bothered. But are people bothered, or are they actually just weighing in on the what and why? Because these dudes couldn't keep their mouths shut. I'm going to react to a video that is a clear example of why many people are responding, and I'll give my perspective throughout. Feel free to get in the comments and give your perspectives. If you like or dislike the video, hit that like or dislike button, and as always, do subscribe. Without anything further, let's get into it.
Let me ask you guys a few questions before we get started. Aren't you tired of being flaked on, being ghosted? Don't you want your feet rubbed, your back rubbed? Don't you want your neck rubbed? Don't you want consistent sex? Aren't you tired of being used for food, drinks? Aren't you tired of going on 3 and 4 dates and then the woman ghosting you like that and you're wondering, what did I do wrong? Aren't you? Aren't you tired of having to approach 100 women just to get 10 numbers? And out of those 10 numbers, you get 3 dates and you only sleep with 2. Horrible ratio, right? If you answer yes to those questions, give this video a like. Make sure you share it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Listen, I get this question often from my subscribers, and they say, Darius, you've been overseas. You served in the military. You've been to multiple countries. How was it? Should I get my passport? They ask me how the women are over there. Listen, it's night and day compared to American women, okay? Western women are damaged goods because they don't respect masculinity. They don't respect your authority. They don't want to please you. They don't want to serve you. They don't want to be submissive. See, women overseas, women in the Philippines, where I've been, women in Thailand, women in Hong Kong, Japan, where I was stationed in the military. Those women are over there. They like you. They want to be around you. You don't have to spend all types of money to keep them around. You don't have to do all these different things to impress them. There's no 3-date rule. There's no manipulation. Tired of getting ghosted and flaked on? I suggest you get your passport and go overseas. See, a man works too hard. See, that's where the frustrations comes in at, because us men, we work so hard. We have businesses, we have work, we have school. And when we come in, what us men want is a woman who's pleasant. We don't want to get nagged. We don't want to get talked down to and manipulated. We don't want to sleep on the couch. See, there's no man cave overseas. You are the king.
Now, let's run that video back. I'm going to answer some of these questions, address some of these concerns, and as usual, I'll give my perspective.
Let me ask you guys a few questions before we get started. Aren't you tired of being flaked on, being ghosted?
If your answer is yes to this question, then your issue isn't with women flaking and ghosting. It's more so with your own inability to determine women's interest. This is where dating coaches and development of social skills come into play, and I'll elaborate on that a little bit later in the video. Next question.
Don't you want your feet rubbed, your back rubbed? Don't you want your neck rubbed? Don't you want consistent sex?
Let me be clear. There is zero wrong with answering yes to that question. When you have the ability to vet for a woman that would be ready and willing to do these things for you, this isn't an issue. And once you're able to determine which women are into you and are willing to date those women, these things are a natural byproduct of her interest in you and her feelings for you. Next question.
Aren't you tired of being used for food, drinks? Aren't you tired of going on 3 and 4 dates and then the woman ghosting you like that and you're wondering, what did I do wrong?
Again, It's obvious that men answering yes to this question are somewhat inept when it comes to determining a woman's interest in him, attraction to him, and affection for him, and could really use some assistance from a dating coach and someone to help develop their social skills. And I don't mean to be condescending when I say this, but that's after or along with some therapy, because insecurities develop along the way, and you don't want to win in the dating game, get to the relationship phase, and then somehow you sabotage that relationship because you have these insecurities that haven't been dealt with. But back to my response to his questions. You don't get used for food and drinks when you're dating a woman that's genuinely interested in you. I'm talking about a woman you didn't have to beg for a date. A lot of men are sending good morning beautiful messages into infinity in hopes that the woman they're attracted to responds and is eventually willing to go on a date. You obviously wear her down and are probably thinking that all she needs to do is be in your presence, that all you need to do is get her on a date and show her you're a hard-working tax-paying citizen with no criminal record that loves his mother's cooking and will do right by a woman. You think that's enough, and after the date fails and she's not interested in seeing you again, you default to the notion that she used you for dinner and drinks. Dude, she wasn't interested, but she probably said, "Let me give this guy a shot." She did give you a shot and you bombed. That's okay. It happens. It happens to the best of us. It happens to all of us at some point. That doesn't mean you were used. And why do some of you guys default to being used? Seriously, you ask for a woman's time. If she barely knows you enough to determine if she even likes you, why would she go somewhere with you if you're not trading? You dudes and this nonsense about being used for a meal and some alcohol are an interesting lot, to say the least. If you're being ghosted after a couple of dates, it's pretty much likely that she wasn't into you, and you should be able to determine that. Is she sharing personal space, engaging in conversation, making physical contact, laughing, smiling, asking you questions about you, running her mouth about her? Or is she on her phone, giving you one-word answers to questions, barely making eye contact, reluctant to touch you? Are there constant dry silences where you have to search for something to say? Either you aren't interesting enough for her to be interested, or she doesn't like your appearance, or a combination of the two. Get with a dating coach and somebody to help you with your social skills, and this can all be so simple. Next question.
Aren't you tired of having to approach 100 women just to get 10 numbers? And out of those 10 numbers, you get 3 dates and you only sleep with 2.
If your approach to dating is the numbers game, this will be the results for majority of the men who reside in a part of the human population where women have the agency of choice. There's you and a bunch of other dudes. You think you're supposed to be batting 1,000 or going 500 if you aren't exceptional? See, once you develop some social skills and can pick up on certain social cues, it becomes clear as to which women are interested in you. You'll then be able to avoid the inefficient numbers game approach that you should have thrown away in high school. And I have a couple of questions. When in the history of humanity has it ever been the case that an average man approached 100 women and got favorable responses from 50%? What is the expectation? I really would like an answer to these questions, because maybe I missed something. Maybe I missed the history lesson or examples of societies where average men were meandering about and getting sex and submission from majority of the women they desired, that didn't include women that were working in brothels, bordellos, or red light districts. In modern society, the average woman isn't struggling for the basic necessities in life. The average woman doesn't have to sell herself to make ends meet. The average woman doesn't have to marry whoever she can for survival. Studies show that humans indeed struggle with some of their most primitive characteristics and understandings of nature. And one of those primitive understandings of nature is the desperation of women and their willingness to submit to any man due to their desperation to survive. Now it makes sense why a lot of you go to lesser developed parts of the world to, well, you know what you're doing and why you're there. No need for me to say it. And let's be clear, y'all are coming from a part of the world where something as simple as water is something that's just a throwaway thing. You likely use more water in a day than some of them have access to in a month. Or better yet, you likely use a larger amount of clean water in a day than they have access to in a week. You think that doesn't affect their reaction to you coming to their country?
I get this question often from my subscribers, and they say, Darius, you've been overseas. You served in the military. You've been to multiple countries. How was it? Should I get my passport? They ask me how the women are over there. Listen, it's night and day compared to American women, okay? Western women are damaged goods because they don't respect masculinity. They don't respect your authority. They don't want to please you. They don't want to serve you. They don't want to be submissive. See, women overseas, women in the Philippines, where I've been, women in Thailand, women in Hong Kong, Japan, where I was stationed in the military. Those women are over there. They like you. They want to be around you. You don't have to spend all types of money to keep them around. You don't have to do all these different things to impress them. There's no 3-date rule. There's no manipulation.
What he's talking about is a cultural difference. I wouldn't say that Western women as a collective are damaged goods because they don't respect masculinity. I would say that there are some damaged goods among Western women that you should learn to avoid, and that they all have the agency of choice. And with choice, they choose what they feel or know is right for them. Some sure don't respect masculinity. My solution is to avoid these types. Because the idea that all Western women are devoid of respect for masculinity is totally false. The women that a lot of you dudes are attracted to might not respect masculinity, or maybe, just maybe, they don't like you. He also says they don't respect your authority. Dude, we're not in a country where authority is given just because you're born with a phallus of flesh. This dude is prior military, so he knows that authority is earned in most cases. If it's not earned, it's given by birthright, and that's something that the majority of the human population will never experience. Them not wanting to please, serve, and submit to you is a result of their choice, and you not being chosen.
Tired of getting ghosted and flaked on? I suggest you get your passport and go overseas. See, a man works too hard. See, that's where the frustrations comes in at, because us men, we work so hard. We have businesses, we have work, we have school. And when we come in, what us men want is a woman who's pleasant. We don't want to get nagged. We don't want to get talked down to and manipulated. We don't want to sleep on the couch. See, there's no man cave overseas. You are the king.
If you want a woman that's not nagging you and talking down to you and treats you like a king, then it's upon you to vet for that woman. Again, women in the West have the agency of choice. And if you're not chosen by the right type or capable of choosing her for yourself among women that have options, then sure, go overseas to the women that don't have as many options, some of which are only interested in you due to the status of your citizenship in the United States. Go on over there so you can enjoy the spoils. But what's the point of talking down about the women in the West that have options? Why don't y'all just divest in silence? And let's be clear, the type of rhetoric coming from guys like this is what has spawned interest in passport bros to begin with. This kind of dialogue is why people are wondering what's going on with you guys and why. See, this is when I know when the men that lack quality experiences with quality women are talking. When you're cohabitating with a quality woman, she's going to turn that house into a home. The feminine touch is going to be ever so present. When that takes place, you as a man are going to probably want a space untouched by femininity. And no man with an actual sack and backbone is sleeping on a sofa unless it's his choice. There's really nothing else after those first few minutes of the video. It's just the same repetitive banter about women not cooking, women being uncooperative, not being submissive, not returning text, and blah blah blah. It's essentially an emotional infomercial recommending that men get their passports. But here's the good part. I actually agree. Gone on overseas and get your life. Live in that blissful existence that seems ever so elusive to you here in the United States. Nobody is trying to keep you. Just keep your mouth shut in the process if you want people to mind their business when it comes to what you're doing. And that's all I got. If you like or dislike the video, hit that like or dislike button. And as always, do subscribe. Until next time, I'm out.